You're watching BBC World News. I'm Sharon Jute-Lail. Our top stories. President Trump's golfing holiday tees off in Scotland, but the American leader gets a frosty reception from protesters. From Prime Minister to prisoner, Pakistan's former leader Nawaz Sharif faces his first day behind bars. Hello and welcome to BBC World News. US President Donald Trump is spending his third day in the UK at his Turnberry golf course in Scotland. It follows 2 days of official meetings, including talks with British Prime Minister Theresa May. His visit has attracted huge protests in cities across the country, and more are underway today in London and in Edinburgh. Katrina Renton has more.
Protesters are calling today a festival of resistance and national demonstration. Here in Edinburgh, more than 10,000 people are expected to gather on President Trump's second day in Scotland. The President had only been at his hotel for about 20 minutes last night. He was out on the terrace admiring the sunset when, in an astonishing breach of security, a protester flew into view, breaching the no-fly zone, getting within yards of President Trump. The reaction was to get him indoors, but even that was not immediate. Police are still looking for the pilot.
As a result of us doing what we did, Trump actually saw a protester in the flesh instead of having to watch them just on television. We thought it was really important, but we did tell the police that we were on our way. We gave them a 10-15 minute warning.
More than 5,000 police officers are on duty for the President's visit to Scotland this weekend, and there is a highly visible presence. How could something so serious have happened?
Clearly that was a concern. It was a concern to us and to the security around the President, and there's no doubt that the individual responsible for piloting that powered parachute put themselves in danger as well as a result of that. There is an air exclusion zone in place. It is a criminal offence to breach that.
They'll be hoping there will be no repeat performance of this today. Mr. Trump has a close personal bond with Scotland, but disagreements over everything from his policies on migrants to renewable energy have led to a tetchy political relationship with the Scottish Government. He is not expected to meet the First Minister this time. The protests that have happened so far don't impress the Trade Secretary, hoping to forge a free trade agreement with America after Brexit.
I don't think that the protesters were an embarrassment to the government. I think they were an embarrassment to themselves. And I think that when you have the President of the United States, the leader of the free world, being greeted with signs that say, go home, we hate you. I don't think that reflects the genuine good manners and hospitality of the British people. Inside the hotel, he and his senior advisors will be preparing for next week's summit with Vladimir Putin. Katrina Renton, BBC News, Turnberry.
The former Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif is serving the first day of a 10-year jail sentence after flying back to Pakistan from London last night. Mr. Sharif regards his conviction as politically motivated and aimed at damaging his party's prospects in forthcoming elections. Elsewhere, mourners in southwest Pakistan have been burying their dead after a blast at an election rally killed 128 people. Sekunda Karmani sent this report.
Nawaz Sharif was met by a crowd of journalists as he boarded a flight heading to Lahore. He knew that when he landed, he would be arrested.
I know that I'll be going straight to the jail. Of course, this is the struggle for the restoration of democracy in Pakistan, or for the restoration of sanctity to the vote, and I am prepared to pay any price for that.
Sharif's supporters claim the real reason he was convicted is because the Pakistani army want him out of power ahead of the elections. Defying roadblocks, cuts to mobile phone service and preemptive arrests, thousands turned out in Lahore hoping to welcome him.
The decision that came is not right, is not correct. That's why they're going to support Nawaz Sharif, inshallah. And BMLN is going to win the election with the more majority.
In the end, Sharif's arrival was overshadowed by a huge suicide bombing on an unconnected political rally in the western province of Balochistan. The build-up to the elections becoming increasingly fraught. Landing in Lahore, he and his daughter were surrounded by security officials, waiting to fly them to a jail in Rawalpindi. For some, Nawaz Sharif is a corrupt politician, finally being punished. For others, he's a political martyr. How the majority of the country view him will play a large part in determining the elections. Sikandar Kamani, BBC News, Lahore.
Let's take a look now at some of the other stories making the news today. Eritrea's president is visiting Ethiopia to cement ties between the two countries, just days after they declared their state of war over. He was welcomed by Ethiopia's Prime Minister. The visit is the latest in a string of moves towards reconciliation between Africa's erstwhile bitter enemies. A village in Greenland has been partially evacuated after fears it might be hit by a massive wave caused by an iceberg splitting in two. Villagers in Inarsut say the iceberg, weighing up to 11 million tons, is the biggest they've ever seen. Scientists say Greenland's ice sheet is breaking up at an alarming rate. Now, Britain's new polar research ship has taken to the waters for the first time, and it's certainly making a huge splash. After a public vote, it was decided to call the vessel Boaty McBoatface, but the British government had other ideas, and it was eventually named after the BBC's Sir David Attenborough, and he was on hand to launch the 10,000-ton hull into the water. And that's it for the news.